Glanced at her, but didn't say a word. He didn't want to reveal himself. What was the point? It would just be a huge headache. So it was better to keep his identity a secret. Besides, he wasn't doing this specifically for Elsa. He was only saving her for his wife Claire's sake. When Charlie stayed silent, Elsa got the message. She knew he didn't want to reveal his identity, so she didn't press him. But she was a strong person, not the type to just let things go. Since he had saved her, she felt like she owed him, and just saying thank you wasn't enough. Just as Elsa was about to say something, she heard a hoarse, cold voice. "Take off your pants." Elsa's head snapped up in shock. She saw the masked man's eyes on her, and a surge of anger went through her. She thought she'd escaped one monster, only to fall into the hands of another. They were in a deserted part of the park, and he was clearly very strong. Screaming wouldn't do any good. She was trapped. Desperate, Elsa gritted her teeth. "Don't you touch me," she said fiercely. "I won't be a victim. If you try anything, I'd rather die." Charlie was taken aback. He kept his voice low and disguised, pointed to her leg and said, "Your leg is badly injured. The cut is deep, near a major artery. If you don't get it treated right away, you could be permanently disabled. And if the bleeding doesn't stop soon, you'll pass out. We're too far from a hospital to make it in time. Do you understand?" Elsa stared at him, stunned, her cheeks flushing with heat. She had thought he was about to attack her, but he was only trying to help. Seeing Elsa staring at him, completely dumbfounded, Charlie sighed internally. Elsa asked timidly, "Can you help me stop the bleeding?" Charlie nodded. "I've studied holistic medicine," he said. "I can use acupressure methods to stop the bleeding and stabilize the injury. That should buy you enough time to get to a hospital for proper treatment." "Thank you," Elsa said, her face bright red. Her voice was so quiet it was barely a whisper. She couldn't help but look down at her leg, her mind racing. The cut was high up on her thigh. She'd have to take her pants off. But if she did, he would see everything. The Gardner family's upbringing was very sheltered. Elsa had never been this close to any man, let alone had one touch her. Besides, the Gardner family had their own doctor, a world-renowned specialist. She found it hard to believe that something like acupuncture could stop this kind of bleeding. After a moment, Elsa shook her head. "Thank you for the offer, but please, just take me to a hospital. I think I can make it." Charlie frowned. He knew exactly what she was thinking. She figured the injury wasn't that bad, and that she could wait for a proper doctor. What she didn't know was that the only reason she felt okay was because he had secretly infused a trace of spiritual power into her while he was carrying her. Without it, she would have already bled out and died. When Charlie didn't say anything, Elsa took it as confirmation that her injury wasn't as serious as he claimed. She tried to get to her feet. The moment she moved, the wound tore open, and fresh blood gushed out. Her strength vanished, and she collapsed back onto the ground, dizzy and paler than ever. Charlie's voice was stern. "I told you not to move. You'll destroy the muscle. Even if you get to the hospital now, they won't be able to fix it. Not to mention you're losing too much blood. You could go into shock and die before an ambulance even gets here. So, you have a choice. Let me treat you now, or die." Elsa clutched her leg, blood seeping through her fingers. She knew Charlie hadn't been lying, but the thought of taking off her pants in front of a strange man was agonizing. Faced with a choice between life and death, Elsa hesitated, but finally gave in. She didn't want to die, and she definitely didn't want to be disabled for life. Elsa's face was flushed. She glanced up at Charlie, her heart pounding. A strange feeling washed over her. Finally, she whispered, "Okay, thank you." Charlie nodded, knelt, and grabbed the fabric of her trousers with both hands. With a sharp tug, he ripped it open. Elsa held her breath. Her face burned, and her heart hammered against her ribs. She kept her head down, not daring to look at him. Charlie's gaze was steady. He located the knife wound on her left leg, brought 2 fingers together, and pressed them against specific points around the injury. A trace of spiritual energy flowed from his fingers into the wound. Charlie's eyes never left the injury. He didn't even glance anywhere else. His movements were fast and precise. After pressing a few more points, the bleeding slowed and then stopped completely. According to the techniques in the mystic texts, he could have healed her completely, regenerating the muscle and even closing the wound right there. But Charlie didn't want to reveal that much power. He just used his fingers as a form of acupuncture to stop the bleeding and help her muscles and veins begin to mend. That was all. All she needed now was a bandage for the surface wound at the hospital, and she'd be able to go home and heal on her own. Elsa's mind was reeling. She was in shock. After just a few touches from Charlie's fingers, the pain was gone, and the bleeding had stopped. She couldn't believe it. "All right," Charlie said simply. He stood up without a second glance. "Try standing up." Elsa cautiously tried to stand. Her leg held her weight, and the bleeding had completely stopped. A wave of surprise and relief washed over her. She blushed and looked up at him, saying shyly, "Since you don't want to tell me your name, can you at least let me thank you properly?" "No," Charlie said. He had no intention of revealing his identity. "You saved my life," Elsa said. "If I can't even thank you, I'll feel guilty forever." She reached up and unclasped a necklace. "This was a gift from my grandfather for my coming-of-age party. You saved me, and I want you to have it." In her hand was a platinum chain with a sparkling pink diamond on the pendant. Charlie was about to refuse, but then he felt a faint aura coming from the stone. A thought crossed his mind, and he took it from her. He nodded, then took off his jacket and tied it around her waist. "Sorry about your pants," he said. "You can use this to cover up. I used your phone to call for an ambulance. They should be here from the local hospital in a few minutes. You're safe now. I have to go." After he finished speaking, Charlie turned and walked away without looking back, disappearing into the dense park almost instantly. "Hey, wait!" Elsa called out, but he had already vanished from sight. Just then she heard the distant wail of an ambulance siren approaching the park. She looked down at the jacket tied around her waist, then back towards where Charlie had disappeared, feeling a profound sense of loss. A second later, it hit her. The way he walked away looked incredibly familiar. Elsa racked her brain, and then it clicked. His silhouette was exactly the same as the mysterious chairman of the M. Grant Group. Could it be him? A jolt went through her, but she hadn't asked for his name, and she hadn't seen his face. She had no way of knowing if she was right. Just then, Elsa noticed something on the ground where Charlie had been kneeling. It was a small gray pebble. Carved into it were the words, "Peace and Wealth." He must have dropped this by accident, right? She thought. Elsa immediately clutched the stone like a treasure. If she never saw him again, this would be the only thing she had to remember him by. After the ambulance rushed Elsa to the hospital, the doctors diagnosed her injuries as surprisingly minor. The attending doctor, completely unaware of the initial treatment Charlie had provided, was baffled by her condition. Judging by the stab wound, her tendons should have been ruptured and severely damaged. But aside from the surface wound, Elsa's tendons and veins were perfectly intact, almost as if they'd been reconnected and were now even stronger than before. The doctor told her, "You should be fully recovered after just a few days of rest. Honestly, this is incredible. Did you do anything to treat the wound before you got here?" Elsa thought of the mysterious man, but simply said, No, I didn't do anything special. The doctor, well, that's amazing. Then the doctor added, by the way, I've already notified the police. They should be here soon. You can give them your statement about the attack. Elsa nodded gently. The police arrived quickly. An attack on a senior executive from the Emgrand Group was a serious matter. One of the officers knew the Wilson family and was aware that Elsa was their guest, so he notified them as well. Meanwhile, at the Wilson estate, the whole family was gathered, trying to figure out what to do. Harold had told them Elsa was in trouble, but conveniently left out that it was his fault. Mrs. Wilson still saw this as a golden opportunity for the Wilson family to shine. She was determined to find Elsa, stage a heroic rescue, and create a scenario where Harold could win Elsa's heart. When she heard Elsa was already in the hospital, Mrs. Wilson was visibly disappointed. "What a shame!" she exclaimed. "If Harold could have seized the opportunity to be the hero and save her, it would have been perfect." Then she announced to everyone, "Come on, we're all going to the hospital to see her." Harold's stomach was in knots, but he had no choice but to bite the bullet and go to the hospital with his family. On the way over, Harold had already cooked up an excuse, but he wasn't sure if Elsa would buy it. When they got to the hospital and saw Elsa, Harold plastered a look of shock on his face and rushed over. "Elsa, are you okay? I was just about to call my dad to get some guys together to come rescue you." "Rescue me?" A flash of bitter irony crossed Elsa's face. She said coldly, "You're the one who almost got me killed." Harold scrambled to explain. "Elsa, don't get me wrong. I was trying to draw their attention. They were after me, not you. I never thought they'd actually hurt you." Elsa scoffed, too disgusted to even argue with Harold. She had seen his true colors, and all she could think about was how to stay as far away from him as possible from now on. Mistaking her silence for acceptance, Harold thought she'd bought his story. He looked her up and down, noticing the man's jacket tied around her waist. He frowned. "Elsa, where are your pants?" Elsa was filled with revulsion. She didn't want to talk to him at all. "That's none of your business," she said coldly. Mrs. Wilson's sharp eyes swept over Elsa, staring at the men's jacket on her. She stepped forward and asked, "Elsa, dear, if something happened, you can tell your grandma. That group of people, they didn't do anything to you, did they?" Elsa replied flatly, "They stabbed me. Luckily, a young man passing by saved me. My leg was injured, so he helped treat it. My pants were torn, so he gave me his jacket." "Why, is there a problem?" "A young man?" Mrs. Wilson was shocked. Some random young man being the hero was not good at all. What if Elsa developed feelings for him? Her precious grandson Harold would lose his chance. Harold, his voice thick with jealousy, chimed in. "Elsa, what exactly did he do to treat you? Did he take off your pants himself?" Elsa sneered. "And what business is that of yours?" she said sarcastically.